Hello, I am Theresa Lindsey Chase, the Power of the Patient Project. Today we are joined by Sally Duplantier, a generalogist and the founder of a company called Zing. Her mission is to increase health span, the number of years in which we are free of chronic disease and disability. After 40 years in the corporate world and retiring twice, Sally found Zing with a mission to help older adults live their best life longer. Zing was established to enable older adults to take charge of their health from a holistic perspective. Sally has a certificate in Nutritional Science from the Stanford University Center and recently graduated with a Master's of Science in Gerontology from the University of Southern California. She is currently completing a graduate certificate in qualitative research at Indiana University. Thanks for joining us today, Sally.
Theresa, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, our pleasure. First, could you please explain to our audience what gerontologist is and how do you get interested in the field of gerontology?
Sure, of course. So no kids say to their parents when they, I want to be a gerontologist when I grow up. And it's a pretty recent discipline, probably started in the 30s and got more traction in the 70s and 80s. But basically what gerontologists do is we study aging. We study it from a psychology perspective, sociology, policy, physiology perspective. And we look in particular at what are the challenges of becoming an older adult.
So how do all of those perspectives help you get a better view of the challenges of becoming an adult?
I have learned so much. So part of it is, Theresa, I'm living it. And it's what inspired me to start Zing after retiring twice. True story, I went back to school for a Master's of Science in Gerontology 45 years after my bachelor's. I was the only kid in my graduating class on Medicare. But what I have learned is, all of these factors influence our ability to age well. And a lot of what I believe is that better lifestyle choices help us age better. And that's grounded in science. So 80% of chronic disease, such as everything from cancer to diabetes to heart disease to even Alzheimer's, is because of poor nutrition, lack of sleep, lack of movement, too much alcohol, etc. But I think what I've learned as a gerontologist and by taking that holistic perspective is that there are populations of people who can't make better choices because they are the victims of systemic racism. They live in communities of food deserts. The only food they have is from a convenience store. They can't go outside just for a walk because of gunfire. So I think my background now in gerontology has made me have a broader mission to help all older adults. It's just a different lens.
It sounds like it started out as science and turned a little bit more towards a heart to help. And I appreciate that. That's very helpful. Yeah. So in a way that you are helping people out here is that you have Zing. Do you tell us a little bit more about that and why you created it and what's its mission?
Yes. So my mission is to help people live their best life longer. And specifically, my work is focused on health span. So that's the number of years in which we are free of chronic disease and disability. And a challenge is that we are living longer than ever before. We're living twice as long as we did in the 1900s, but we're not living better. So many older adults live with multiple chronic conditions that affect their quality of life every day. And so my mission is really to help educate people from a scientific perspective. All of my work is based on scientific evidence. It's part of why I went back to school to Stanford and USC. And then help people gradually shift behavior. Because quite honestly, you can know something and you don't take action, it doesn't really matter. There's a big gap between knowing and doing.
Absolutely. I think you're right on with that. And I like how it's you differentiated between living longer versus living better. And can you tell me how your recent training as a gerontologist shaped the work of your doing at Zing that you're doing?
Yes. Yeah. So I think that by going through training as a gerontologist, I have a desire to serve a broader population. I know we're going to talk a little bit about Wellness Wednesday. So that's a program that I started at the beginning of the pandemic to keep older adults healthy and connected. And what I find is that program reaches an audience of well-educated adults who are already interested in staying healthy. And I care very much about that population. You know, I care deeply about that. But I also care equally about these underserved populations. So something I'm doing with respect to that is I'm part of a research team now at USC, and we're looking at how we can increase diversity in clinical trials for Alzheimer's patients. So I see that my work going forward is going to be to work with two different populations of older adults.
I like that. I like that you're just branching out, and still, it sounds like you're constantly learning, which is a huge thing that I think all of us can take a note from, for sure.
It's so, Theresa, it's so true. It is so true. Yeah, never too old, I believe.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So you did mention about your Wellness Wednesdays lecture series. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And it seems like you're going to have a new series start too.
Yeah. So, yes, because every quarter I announce a new group of speakers. So Wellness Wednesday started in the pandemic. I had just started my business in 2019, and you know, I'd been going around to senior living facilities and doing presentations. Well, like that immediately stopped, right? And I'm thinking, what can I do now? And I really, again, had a desire to help people stay healthy and connected during the pandemic. So I came up with this idea of doing a webinar program via Zoom and inviting experts. Again, my work is based on evidence. So leading healthcare providers, researchers, authors to be guest speakers. Now, Zoom was really new to people back then, and especially older adults. My first program had 6 people. My second program had 9. And since then, Wellness Wednesday has reached over 5,600 registered participants, 31 countries, and 5 continents.
Oh my goodness. Did you ever expect it to get that big when you first started, like 2019?
Theresa, I never expected that. And something that surprised me a little bit is that the attendance has continued to grow, even though the shelter-in-place restrictions have been lifted for the most part. So the community I serve of older adults, I would say they're still more cautious than many other people, but they're still out there. And yet, like, oh, it's 11 a.m. on Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday. I can't play bridge. You know, I want to watch this program. Plus, I've gotten smarter. All of our programs are recorded so that people can enjoy them later.
Oh, that's really, really helpful. Yeah. It sounds like you've touched on something that a lot of people haven't touched on lately, and a lot of people still want to live longer and healthier. And you've got lots of people interested. I like that.
Yeah, and I think I've actually done some program evaluation about what is different about Wellness Wednesday, and I think a couple things. But part of it is that it is evidence-based, and it's really experts in the field. There's so much misinformation, well-intentioned misinformation in the blogosphere about, eat this, don't eat that. And so how do you sort that out? What do you believe? And then, I think just the consistency of the programs. We've been running these twice a month for 2.5 years. And, people can count on them. They look forward to them. We always send a recording. We send follow-up links. So it's highly actionable. My goal when I select a speaker and prep them and conduct a session is that everybody can take away at least one new nugget of information that hopefully they can apply.
You mentioned that you get feedback. What would you say is the most that you've heard from people that attend these Wellness Wednesdays?
Yeah, so I'm interested as a researcher in what changes behavior, not just what increases knowledge. And the number one piece of feedback that I've gotten is that men and women are taking more responsibility for their health. They are becoming better consumers of healthcare. They are asking their doctor, why do I need that medicine? Is there something that I could do from a lifestyle perspective? They're not simply accepting, oh, this is from inflammation. Well, what's causing this? What other kind of physician should I see? Maybe it's just, more about lifestyle change. Maybe it's more about seeing a different kind of practitioner. And I think this is especially important for this audience. Interestingly enough, women after menopause tend to not take charge of their health. Mm-hmm. They are very underserved in part because they have unique needs, and yet nobody really talks about it. And I care about creating better consumers of healthcare, which ties directly to your mission.
Absolutely, it does. And it sounds like you've helped them to be better advocates for their health just in general, even probably with discussions among friends and other people that they meet, encouraging one another.
It's interesting you say that. So one of the things, these programs are free. They're paid for by sponsors and community members who want to donate. So it's a little bit like an NPR model, but the links are shareable. I'm not trying to hoard anything. And right. So I get feedback like, oh, I didn't have sleep apnea, but my friend has sleep apnea. So I shared the link with her. And it was a kind of a funny story because the friend was in Cornwall, UK. And I was like, yeah, I wondered where we got that person from. So people look forward to sharing it. And then I think, this excites me because it also creates a community discussion around wellness, which is going to then further reinforce healthy behaviors.
I love that. I like the whole community aspect too, and all people all over the country. That's amazing. Do you have one more piece of advice before we sign off to give our audience about living a healthier, more vital life?
Yeah, I think my last piece of advice is mindset matters. And this again is demonstrated in countless studies. The way we perceive ourselves as we age will affect longevity and health span. A positive view of aging can add as many as 7.5 years of life and quality life. So mindset matters. Wake up in the morning and it's going to be a good day. That positivity just, it can't, there's no substitute for it.
That's awesome. I do like that you wake up in the morning and you're excited to greet the day. So could you tell us the name of your website for Zing?
Sure, absolutely. It's called myzinglife.com.
Okay, perfect.
People can find all about my programs and in particular Wellness Wednesday there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today, Sally. It was really great learning more about living a healthier, more vital life as we age and getting to know you a little bit more.
Thanks, Theresa. It was a pleasure.
I'm Theresa Lindsey Chase for the Power of the Patient Project, National Library of Patients' Rights and Advocacy. Thanks for joining us.